Hey, how's it going? Hope you are well in this time of isolation or hibernation or whatever you want to call it. The world has changed drastically and significantly, um, and we are trying to break the curve or control the curve or plank the curve, whatever the new lingo is today. And that's what I wanted to talk about today was 5 ways to plank anxiety. If you're doing the things that I'm doing, it's very self-contained. The roadmap for the day looks like get out of bed, bathroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen, living room, kitchen, living room, outside just to look, and then back, and then do it all over again. The height of anxiety is waking up and wondering what's for dinner. But I know that there's a lot of issues with anxiety and stress in these days, in this uncertainty of finances, of relationships, of even work getting laid off, EI, how do I pay my rent, all of these things. So I just wanted to give you 5 ways of planking anxiety. And I thought about stress and anxiety, they're very interrelated and exchangeable. I think stress is the beginning of anxiety. Stress is basically your response to a threat or responsibility, external factors, outside cues. That is normal for everybody's life. That stuff happens. Our minds deal with stress every day. Anxiety is the reaction of not managing stress. Turns into fear, worry, unease. It's all internal, and so I think if we don't deal with stress, it becomes anxiety. And so here's 5 quick ways of dealing with anxiety, dealing with stress. I know for me, uh, it was right before Christmas. I decided to shut off my notifications on my phone. And so that might be really scary for you. I do get enough incoming stuff that I do really have to deal with, but I decided that I will deal with it when I look at my phone. It turns out I look at my phone enough. And studies have shown that every time you get a vibration or a ping or a ding, there's a stress hormone released, cortisol, and it actually increases your heart rate, tenses up your muscles. It can give you sweat. You actually lose productivity if you have your notifications on your phone and it's sitting and you're trying to do something at your desk or in your job. You actually really are less productive. The studies have shown that you're 40% less productive. So it's a big deal. So I think number one for me and what my experience is just shutting off my notifications has reduced tons of anxiety and stress. You might think that that's impossible to do. You might actually miss some phone calls. You might miss some Facebook important messages, but you will get to it because I think maybe if you're like me, you will look at your phone plenty enough. So number one is just shutting off your notifications on your phone. Number two is my response is my responsibility. And so I actually have to take responsibility of what I'm reacting to, what I'm dealing with, outside stressors, whatever they may be. I am actually responsible for my emotions. So I know that it doesn't really work well when other people give me reason to my anxiety or stresses that may be happening. When people say, oh, just calm down, sit back and relax, it'll all work itself out. That doesn't really help me. It usually can make a situation worse. Try to do that with your partner next time he or she is getting all anxious and stressed out about bills or whatever, and you just say, oh, calm down, everything will be okay. Yeah, no one ever calms down. And so my response is my responsibility. And so what I've been practicing is actually putting reason into my emotions, and I actually can become reasonable. And so I don't want to be owned by my emotions. I don't want to be owned by fear and worry and unease. And usually when I am, I look for a break. And if you're an addiction recovery person, our breaks usually end up in a bottle or a drug. And and we don't have to get to that place. If we take responsibility over our emotions, we become reasonable people. Number three is fellowship. This is different than activities. This is different than socializing. This is actually meeting with somebody that has a similar problem, and you talk about a solution. So kind of like what a sponsor would do, like in AA, you would meet with your sponsor once a week. This is something that we can all do. You could have problems with finances or bills. You could have relationship problems. You could have work problems. You could have children rearing problems. And so you're looking for somebody with a measure of wisdom, somebody that has already been there and done that and maybe would have some input into your life, somebody that's actually not going to tell you what to do, but lead you into finding out a solution, somebody that can give you a whole bunch of reasons or case studies or well, this worked for me, this is my experience, this is what could happen, or this is in these different scenarios, this is what you could be facing. So I think fellowship at least once or twice or three times a week is, you're getting together maybe with a little small group, maybe a couple of you, maybe 3 or 4 people, and you're talking about issues that have come up throughout the week. You're touching base. There might be a little bit of accountability. In this time, for me, it's easy when we're in isolation just to continue that. So I really have to force myself to do the Zoom thing or the FaceTime thing and meet with people and talk about recovery and talk about issues that I'm facing or they're facing. So that was number 3. Number 4 is exercise or creativity time. And my suggestion would be at least 20 to 30 to 40 minutes every day. This is a planned activity. It's a workout schedule, a cycle. You're actually planning on doing this every day. Maybe you do have a creative activity. Maybe you do have a hobby, so it's really easy for you. I'm not super creative, so I actually have to try to implement hobbies into my life and really stick with them. And whether it's learning a guitar or learning music or whatever it is, or just working out, going to the gym. Although now the gym is not a thing that we could do anymore. So you can get a lot of online stuff. You can get workout routines at home. You can do everything with no weights and, just try 100 lunges, push-ups, sit-ups, that kind of thing. So number 4 would be exercise and creativity time. And that is a huge way to plank anxiety and stress. And then number 5 would be every morning, just having a time of meditation or journaling or devotional. There's like 102 devotionals out there where you're just taking time. You're thinking about your day. You're touching base with your spirituality. Maybe you're somebody that already meditates. Maybe that's super easy for you. I look at meditation as kind of the opposite of worry. And so if you can worry, you can meditate. So it's kind of implementing healthy responses to a problem and just, reassuring that your situation isn't unresolvable. You introduce the concept of your spirituality and God into all of your problems and just meditate in that. I know for me, I take a Bible verse and I'll just repeat it over and over and over. I pray and invite God into my day. So every morning I do that, taking care of my responsibility of taking care of my spiritual fitness. So those are the 5 things. I have a freebie right here, and it would be how to plank the anxiety and not take coffee. I recently in this time of isolation We happen at our church, we have a espresso maker, one of those real ones, and I felt like it was a little bit lonely, so I went and hijacked it and decided to bring it home and isolate with it. And yeah, he can definitely have too much coffee, and so that just caffeine alone can up your heart rate, make you sweaty, make you anxious, if you're not used to it. So, maybe a cup in the morning, maybe if you're a coffee pro, maybe, a cup in the afternoon. But looking for other options, I drink a lot of kombucha. It does have some caffeine in it, or tea, herbal tea, green tea has very little caffeine. So really reduce your caffeine levels. That's these things are your responsibility to take care of, and implementing these on a daily basis, phone notifications, adding reason to your emotions, fellowship, exercise, creativity time, and morning meditation and prayer, journaling, devo, that kind of thing, and eliminating the caffeine intake. Those are all things that I can be responsible for. And implementing these things, I can really take care of the stressors that come at me, that come at you every day. It is our responsibility not to actually deal with stress and not have it turn into anxiety. And it really debilitates us. Anxiety can really cause so many problems, whether it is hair loss, like that is actually a thing. Physical illnesses, your body is actually going to tell you that you're anxious, lack of sleep issues, mood disorders, all of those things. So especially in these days that we're isolating, things there can be a lot of stressors. I know just going to the grocery store, it stressed me out. You come into the grocery store, they give you one of those wet naps, you got to wipe down your cart, everybody's very distant, there's very few people in there. The first time I went to the grocery store, I went to pull out my wallet, and I kind of live on a cash system, and I have a budget that way. So groceries and gas I pay with cash, and I went to pull out my wallet, and I was like, oh, I don't want their change back. So I used debit. And so just little things like that can be stressful. And if I don't take care of them, and if I let that consume me, then it's really not healthy for me. And for somebody with my issues, that I always would turn to drinking, I don't want to do that anymore. So I have to take care of these little things. And what I found out is the big things take care of themselves. So thanks for hanging out. We are made in the image of God, and that is to be able to live free and let God take care of all the big stuff. It's our responsibility to take care of the little things. In Philippians, we read that we are not to be worried about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. And in some versions it says, be anxious for nothing, in Philippians 4 verse 6. And so I stopped asking God, what should I do? We get in that headspace of doing and being motivated at how much we can do in this time of isolation and rest. The question that I would flip it around is, God, what do you want me to be? How do you want me to be? And I bet the answer isn't going to be stressed out and anxious. So we do have a part to play. We do have a little bit of responsibility. And those are 5 ways that you can plank anxiety. All right. Peace out. What's for dinner? Who knows? We will go make that now. Thanks. Have a good night.